If I'd known my promotion would expose exactly who my family thought I was worth, I would have stopped answering their calls a long time earlier. The day it really clicked for me started in my mama's kitchen, with her leaning against the counter like she was about to say something loving, but missed the exit. She didn't even look up from her phone when she said, "So I told your aunt you could spot the deposit for the caterer." Not asked, told. The smell of onions frying hung in the air, grease popping, gospel murmuring low from the radio. I stood there with my purse still on my shoulder, work badge hanging off my neck, feeling like somebody had reached into me and grabbed a handful of breath. I said, "I didn't say I could do that," and she finally looked at me like I'd just spoken another language. She sighed and said, "You always got it. That's why we depend on you." Depend was her soft word for drain. I remember nodding because that's what I do when I don't want to argue and don't want to cry. My little cousin was at the table pretending to do homework, while actually listening to every word, because Black kids have FBI level listening skills when adults think they're distracted. Mama went on about family helping family, about how my brother had a lot on his plate right now, which was always the excuse. He had a plate, a napkin, silverware, and a whole table set by the time he was done being the golden child. I was the kitchen sink. By the time I got back to my car, my phone was already lighting up. Aunt Denise asking if I could also front the rental chair since I was already doing the deposit. A Cash App request from my brother with a pizza emoji, like we were joking. I sat there gripping the steering wheel, my twist out pressed flat from a long day, wondering how I become the family ATM without ever agreeing to the job. I sent the money because I always did. And then I cried a little, quiet, like I was embarrassed to even hear myself. Later that night, while I was eating leftovers straight out the container because I didn't have the energy for a plate, my grandma called. She didn't ask for money. She never did. She asked how work was going, and when I said, "Fine, the way you say it when it's not," she hummed like she knew better. Before she hung up, she said, "You coming to the family reunion next month, right?" I told her I wasn't sure. She said, "You should come. I want everybody together." The way she said it felt heavier than ribs and potato salad, like something was waiting. I didn't sleep much that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, the little crack above the fan looking like a map I never learned to read. My phone buzzed again with another request, this time from my mama, for something small but not really. I sent it, rolled over, and finally slept with the TV on low. Background noise for a life that never quieted down. This wasn't new. I'd been the dependable one since I was old enough to have a summer job. When my mama needed help with the light bill, when my aunt needed a cosign, when my brother needed just a little something till Friday, my name came up like a reflex. Nobody asked what I needed. Nobody noticed when I stopped buying myself nice things, or when I said no to trips because work was busy. Work was busy, but family was busier spending my money. At work, I was invisible in a different way. I was good, everybody knew it, but good in that way where they pile things on you and call it growth. Comments about my hair being so bold when I wore it natural, jokes about me being strong when deadlines got unreasonable. I swallowed it all because I needed the job. I needed the stability. I needed to keep being the one with it, together. The reunion crept up on me faster than I expected. Group chats started buzzing, aunties arguing about sides, uncles acting like the grill was a classified operation. Somebody asked who was bringing ice like it was a moral test. My mama volunteered me to bring drinks without asking, and when I pushed back, she said, "Why you acting funny?" That word, funny, code for ungrateful. The weekend before the reunion, my brother came by my place unannounced. He flopped onto my couch like he paid rent, shoes still on. He asked if I could help him cover a car repair because he was between things. I looked at him and realized he'd never once asked how I was doing. Not really. I said I couldn't this time. He laughed like I was joking, then got quiet when he realized I wasn't. "So you switching up now," he said. Like boundaries were a personality flaw. He left without hugging me. I almost didn't go to the reunion. The morning of, I stood in my bathroom staring at myself, smoothing shea butter into my arms, tying my satin scarf just right. I thought about all the money I'd spent just to show up places where I felt like a wallet with legs. But Grandma's voice was in my head, calm and sure, and I went. The park was already loud when I pulled up. Music thumping, kids running. the smell of charcoal thick in the air. As soon as I stepped out, somebody yelled my name with that tone that meant they wanted something. Hugs turned into requests real quick. Girl, can you cash at me? Did you bring the extra? You know Mama said you had it. I smiled through it because if you don't smile, they say you got an attitude. I found Grandma sitting under the big tree, sunglasses on, looking peaceful in a way that made everybody else slow down around her. She squeezed my hand and said, I'm glad you came. For a second, it was just us, the noise fading back. Then Mama appeared, already mid-sentence, already listing what still needed to be paid for. Grandma listened, nodded, and said nothing. That should have been my first clue. Halfway through the day, while people were eating and arguing about who seasoned what, my mama pulled me aside. She said, so listen, after this, we need help with something else. I cut her off. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed even. I can't keep doing this, I said. Her face changed like I'd slapped her. After everything we done for you, she said, loud enough for heads to turn. The humiliation burned hot. Aunties pretended not to listen while listening harder than ever. My cousin raised an eyebrow, so high it almost left her face. I walked away before I said something I couldn't take back. I sat back down by Grandma, my hands shaking. She patted my knee, slow and steady. It's all right, she said. Sometimes folks get real loud when the truth gets close. When it was time to pack up, Grandma asked everybody to gather around. People groaned, plates still full, kids whining. She stood up with help, cleared her throat, and said she had something to say. I didn't know what it was, but I felt it in my chest like a warning and a promise at the same time. My mama folded her arms. My brother smirked. The air got still. Grandma looked straight at me for a second before she looked at everybody else. And right then, I understood that whatever was coming was going to change how they saw me, and maybe how I saw myself too. When Grandma cleared her throat that day, I didn't know my promotion had already shifted the ground under all of us, even if nobody else could feel it yet. She didn't raise her voice. She never had to. Folks quieted down anyway, like muscle memory kicked in. Even the kids slowed, sensing grown folk business. Grandma said she wasn't going to keep us long, just needed to say something while everybody was together. My mama rolled her eyes a little, real subtle, like she expected another prayer or reminder about family unity. My brother leaned against the cooler, arms crossed, already half checked out. Grandma said, I've been watching for a long time. That was her opening line, and I swear you could hear the grill pop louder after that. She talked about getting older, about how life has a way of showing you who shows up and who just shows out. People nodded, thinking they knew where she was going. Church-style agreement, even when you don't know the sermon yet. Then she said my name, not in a scolding way, not dramatic, just clear. She's been carrying more than her share. I felt my stomach drop. Mama shifted beside me. Grandma went on, talking about how I was always the first call, the quiet helper, the one who didn't complain out loud. She said, y'all call it strong. I call it tired. Somebody laughed nervously. That laugh died fast. Mama cut in, now Ma, and Grandma held up her hand. I had never seen my mama stop mid-sentence like that. Ever. Grandma said she knew exactly how much money I'd been giving over the years because she'd watched the patterns, watched who asked and who thanked and who didn't. My brother straightened up then. His smirk disappeared. She said, and before anybody gets defensive, I'm not asking. I'm telling. That was pure Grandma. Calm but final. Then she dropped it. She said she'd already put things in place, that she'd made arrangements months ago, after I helped her with some paperwork and never told nobody. She said she trusted me because I never treated her like an obligation. The word trusted hung heavy in the air. Mama's face went pale. Aunt Denise whispered, what arrangements, under her breath. Uncle James stopped chewing. Grandma said she'd set up a small trust in my name. Nothing flashy, just enough to make sure I was taken care of the way I'd been taking care of everybody else. She said it wasn't up for debate, and it wasn't a punishment. It's balance, she said. I couldn't breathe. My ears rang. All I could think was, this can't be happening at a park with paper plates and warm soda. My mama finally found her voice. Why wouldn't you talk to me about this first? She asked sharp. Grandma looked at her and said, "Because every time I did, you talked over me." That hit harder than anything else that day. People started murmuring, some supportive, some not. Aunties exchanged looks like a group chat without phones. My brother scoffed and said, "So she gets rewarded for acting funny lately?" I snapped before I could stop myself. For saying no. The word no felt brand new in my mouth. My voice didn't shake. That surprised me. Grandma sat back down like she'd just finished a regular announcement. Conversation didn't bounce back the same after that. The vibe was cracked. Folks packed up early. Hugs were stiff. My mama barely spoke to me on the way home. The silence between us felt thicker than any argument. That night, my phone blew up. Texts, calls, long messages that started with "I'm not mad," but which always meant they were furious. My brother accused me of manipulating Grandma. Aunt Denise said money changed people. Somebody said I was tearing the family apart. I read them all and didn't respond. For once, I let the silence do the talking. 2 days later, I got an email from work. Subject line, promotion update. I opened it in my car because I couldn't wait another second. I'd interviewed weeks before, quietly, not telling my family, because I didn't want the pressure or the assumptions. I'd been passed over before, so I kept my expectations low. The email said congratulations. New title, new salary, effective immediately. I laughed, out loud, alone. That laugh came from somewhere deep, somewhere tired and relieved, and a little angry that it took this long. I sat there and let it wash over me. I thought about all the times I'd covered someone else's emergency while my own goals sat on hold. When my mama found out it wasn't from me, word travels fast in families like ours. She called, her tone suddenly sweeter, like she was testing a new setting. "You should have told us," she said. Us. The same us that never asked. She mentioned how proud she was, how she knew I'd do big things. Then she slid in a request, light as air. "Since you'll be making more now." I stopped her. "Nothing's changed," I said. And I meant it. Everything had changed, but my boundaries weren't up for negotiation. She got quiet. Then she said, "You acting different since Mama said all that." I said, "I'm acting honest." We didn't talk for a while after that. Weeks passed. Family dinners went on without me. Group chat slowed when I spoke. It hurt more than I expected. Even when you're doing the right thing, the grief still comes. I leaned into my routine. Work was demanding but validating. People listened when I spoke now. I started therapy again, stopped canceling on myself. Grandma called one afternoon just to check in. She asked about work, about how I was feeling. I told her the truth, that it was lonely sometimes. She said, "Lonely don't mean wrong." She reminded me that being loved for what you give isn't the same as being loved for who you are. A month later, Mama asked to come over. She brought food like an offering. We sat at my table, the same one I'd eaten so many lonely dinners at. She didn't apologize outright. That's not how she was built. But she said she hadn't realized how much pressure she'd put on me. She said she was scared of losing control. I told her I wasn't trying to leave the family, just the role they put me in. Things didn't magically fix themselves after that. My brother still keeps his distance. Aunt Denise is polite, but cool. But the ask slowed. The assumption stopped. When somebody does ask, they ask instead of tell. That matters. The trust Grandma set up isn't some huge fortune. It's peace. It's choice. It's knowing that for once, I'm not the backup plan. I still show up to family stuff, but I leave when I'm ready. I give when I want to. I say no without a speech. Sometimes I think about that day in the park, about how exposed everyone felt, including me. I learned that being valued quietly still counts. And when people show you exactly what they think you're worth, believe them. Then decide what you'll accept. I didn't win by cutting anybody off or yelling the truth. I won by standing in it. And for the first time in my life, the balance finally tipped in my favor.